Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Checked Before. This time, the skin of evil. Yeah, I'm trying to sound like Armis now. Yeah, you'll find out what I think of him. I remember his voice well. I love the voice acting. You'll hear that. The skin of evil. Yeah. Speaking of evil, we have a Facebook page. Don't shut us down, Zuckerberg. But we do have a Facebook page. It's All Been Checked Before. Go there. Engage with us. I just did it. Engage. Patreon.com/IBD. If you're a member or become one, like I was saying, I always say, you get that bonus content. Get on their Facebook and you get bonus content right there. And you can tell us, what do you want to see? We did an episode of Freaky Friday. So anything that tangential, maybe you want us to do the Family Guy episode where the whole TNG cast shows up. That's probably going to happen. But who knows? You might have a keen insight on that. So please check out our Facebook page. It's All Been Checked Before. Go to patreon.com/IBD. And now listen to us with Skin of Evil on It's All Been Trekked Before.
Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Trekked Before.
This is Steven.
This is Jimmy-Jerome, and sadly, Keith Jackson, earlier this evening, was murdered by Armis.
I thought he was just in sick bay the whole time.
No,
damn it.
Sorry. That's what we told you, because we didn't want to upset you. But yeah.
I have to go to the holodeck for...
That'll be the end of the episode. No, Keith is fine. He's just ill, unfortunately.
Yes.
We always miss him. I wish he was here every week. We will soldier on without him.
We will.
To talk about this all-important, pivotal episode, Skin of Evil.
I laughed at you saying that, and it's not pivotal and most important, but those... we were talking off mic before the show about, how this season ranks with the first three of, I know we dismissed TAS in that because it's not necessary.
No,
but
it doesn't count.
I was just hating most of this episode, but within that, I thought there were some moments that were really good, and so it makes me think of season 3, some of those moments, like, at least that I still really like a lot. The end of Requiem from Lucilla, the rock creature in Savage Curtain, another terrible episode, but I love that rock creature. Even though I hate those kind of creatures, which is why I hate this episode, or didn't like it very much. So it felt very much that way. I hate the godlike creatures. I didn't care for a lot of that stuff in the episode, but I thought within that there were a lot of good little moments and performances by everybody else and the folks in the episode. And I think almost this episode's like, okay, and we talked about it, it's like, okay, maybe we're not hitting home runs, but you're getting to know these characters a little better, and these actors are getting more comfortable in their roles. That said, I didn't love the episode very much.
It was better than I remembered it, but I'd say for a large part of it, I was kind of like, this is fine. Yeah. It was interesting. Some mistakes. I took way more notes on this than I took
more than I had planned.
I took way more than you did, which is very unusual.
Yeah.
Very unusual. Yeah, I think there were a few missteps in this episode, but I think there was an interesting concept at the heart of it. And
somewhere
some
in
good
there.
Character moments. Well,
I thought good character moments, absolutely.
So, you mentioned the godlike being, and yes, Armis was a godlike being, but he was different in that this is, and I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe this is the only character in all of Star Trek that is just pure evil. And the concept of pure evil is an interesting one that isn't usually explored. I mean, when Data says, I believe he should be destroyed, he doesn't destroy anything. This is a creature so no redeemable qualities.
Which actually, that was my alternate title for the episode at that point, was no redeemable qualities. That's how much I was hating it. But then I thought, and maybe your point's better than, because I thought his energy would get down when he was dealing with his feelings. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's the best message, but it's a true message, I guess.
Well, he let himself get consumed by his rage, so it was
that's true.
He was consciously blocking them from doing what they wanted to, and so he'd get distracted.
I wish we got more of his story of, they said he was left there, but by who? Who are these people? What is this race?
Yeah, they mentioned that the race basically got rid of the evilness within themselves, and he was the result.
The personification isn't right.
Right.
But
I mean, it's basically like if you could just take one giant poop and be done pooping for the rest, like the waste product, you know what I mean? And everybody
That's actually an apt analogy.
Everybody on the planet took this giant poop and then left it there. And then it became sentient.
Yeah, I can buy that. Doesn't make me like the episode anymore, but I can buy that. Him just being evil that does make it like a horror movie and a little more interesting. But I didn't understand his powers. And I never understand the godlike powers. He could move people. He could move stuff.
He could teleport things.
Yeah, I wrote, that makes me think of when he was moving Geordi's glasses. I wrote, he's just another advanced power bully. And I've given this episode more credit than it deserves, but I felt like that was a reference to Lord of the Flies when they Piggy's glasses and stuff. I was like, this guy is, which I guess is pure evil. He's just a bully. I just wasn't that interested in him, and I liked the effect of him the first time he rose out of the ground. Mm-hmm. And then each successive time I laughed because I was just like,
how many times did they film it?
Like once, and they just reshowed it 4 times.
I don't think so,
right?
because
it was different angles. You're right.
So many different angles.
You're right.
And different shots of different people in front of it.
Why wasn't he more defined? Is that just because they didn't have the money?
I think the explanation was he wasn't humanoid and he was just like making a shape to talk to them.
Yeah,
he didn't have experience making shapes.
But I just thought it was. It just made me laugh every other time that it took so long because it's like. I felt like with the powers he had, he could do it instantly. If he could teleport Geordi's sunglasses and kill everybody and all that stuff. But I did like that effect. I liked that effect the first time. It made me laugh the other times, but it still looked pretty cool.
He was a creepy creature.
I thought it looked cool when it enveloped the shuttlecraft. Mm-hmm. When it moved, it was very TOS.
Oh yeah,
bad effects, but. When it was solid like that, I thought it was kind of cool, actually.
When it enveloped Riker and put him back out. Which, first of all, that puddle was pretty shallow as it moved because the ground was flat. But somehow it was Mary Poppins' handbag
and I guess
that found depth for Riker.
Yeah, and I guess I do like that aspect of it, even though overall and the other thing I wrote was at the beginning when they're like, oh, it's following us. It's like, what if you guys just split up?
I thought about that,
it didn't seem like it could go...
It could stretch.
I guess it could.
But it could only stretch so far.
They should have tested it,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, I was reminded early in the episode about the evil cloud that killed Data's people, Noonien Singh.
Oh, okay.
And just like because he was evil and I don't know, destroyed. But I did think the more I watched this, the more I thought that Armis was actually an original novel creature. While the powers I had a problem with and didn't quite understand.
I didn't like it.
The character itself, in terms of the complexity, the emotional makeup, and what it was, I thought was pretty original for Star Trek. I didn't think it was pure horror because there was a lot of exploration on what are its motivations.
Yeah.
What makes it tick. Like, it killed them for effect, but it didn't find that satisfying, so then it played with them. And of course, Picard's move was a total Kirk move of like, I'm not going to play your game.
Right.
To shut down this petulant child. It was a very tree-like.
It was very.
And yet, I don't know. I found something original and interesting about this creature.
I didn't like him that much. I thought the voice actor was working real hard, and I appreciated that.
Armis was voiced by Ron Gans.
Okay.
Matt McChesney played
He was inside there. Okay.
I assume that's what.
After knocking at I've listened to some of our recent early in the season podcast. After I knocked on some actors, I want to give this guy credit for that's hard work doing what he's doing, and that with that character, I thought he embodied it, and he was working real hard.
He's best known for voicing Juggernaut in Pride of the X-Men, the 1989 cartoon.
Wow.
He's got 70 actor credits. So
okay.
It looks like it's mostly voice
stuff.
Yeah. Dumbo's Circus, Transporters. Did a few episodes of Lost in Space in the 60s as different alien creatures.
Oh, wow.
Matt McChesney, on the other hand, has 2 credits. This and another character next season, Next Gen, and then one other credit, Girls' Night Out, whatever that movie is.
I wonder if he was just like a stagehand or a something or a stuntman.
I don't know. He died in 1999.
Ooh.
Yeah. He doesn't, his filmography doesn't list any stunts or anything.
Interesting.
It's just those 3 acting credits.
Huh.
So, yeah, I thought the effect was cool. I thought, you mentioned, why does he look unfinished the way he is? In my opinion, just pulling this out of my butt right now, I feel like he was trying to intimidate them, and that's an intimidating look. Whereas if he had a face, it's less intimidating.
That's fair. Did he, and maybe I'm mixing this up, I thought it was, Deanna was saying that she thought he'd brought other people there and killed all of them.
Yeah, it sounded like that. Well, no, at first I thought it sounded like that.
Or not brought other people there, but other people had come and he...
I think she was actually referring to the people who left him there.
Okay.
I don't think he's got a pile of bodies anywhere.
And did the shuttle just happen to land where he was on the planet, or was he on the other side of the planet and just scooted over there, or did he make them crash? I was very confused by that.
It was implied that he made them crash. I mean,
okay.
The line, I think it was Picard's line that was like, I can't believe it's a coincidence that it crashed right next to him. So, and they said a couple times, like, the shuttle inexplicably crashed. We don't know why it crashed. So that makes me think, and because of the powers we saw that he had, that makes me think he pulled him out of the sky.
He could do it to the shuttle, but he was not strong enough to do it with the Enterprise.
I mean, the Enterprise is how many times bigger than
I
the
know,
shuttle?
sure. Well, I did write, shuttles are very short-lived in 23rd century, 24th century.
They can be.
Yeah.
Voyager's the fun one because they're lost far away forever and they can't restock their shuttles, and yet they lose so many shuttles.
Yeah.
So there's like a fan theory of like, are they just building new shuttles on Voyager? Because there's no room for that ship to hold more shuttles.
I guess, and when we say shuttle, it makes me think of our space shuttle that we had. That we made many of those, but they were a lot harder to make.
Yeah.
When they leave, they destroy the shuttle.
Yes.
So there's a remote.
No, that looked like they fired photon torpedoes.
Oh, is that okay? I missed that. I thought they were just like they did a destruction sequence from.
I don't
far.
think so.
Okay, maybe I missed the photon torpedoes.
I will say
somebody let us know what they saw.
Armis's powers were a little inconsistent in that.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes he threw them around, sometimes he didn't. Like he could have stopped them from beaming up, I would assume. Especially that parallel transport. At the end, I'm getting way ahead of myself, but Worf ordered a parallel transport to get Troy and Picard. And what I assumed that meant was beaming them both up at the same time in different positions. But what really happened was Troy beamed up and then Picard beamed up, which gave Armis plenty of time to detect Picard, but he didn't.
Right. That's not parallel. Two.
Right.
Was his power that low that he couldn't stop him?
I think we were supposed to be meant to believe it was parallel. It happened at the same time, but he just didn't show it.
I see what you're saying.
Which I think would have been more effective.
I could see that.
I think they beamed Troy up and then they wanted that final line from Picard, but I feel like they should give him the final line from Picard and then like did a split screen or a quick jump or something.
Right.
I don't know. It just, that part bothered me. Let's jump back to the beginning. We've been talking about some...
Yeah, we jumped right in.
I liked the beginning of Skin of Evil, how the nacelles weren't on, and then they immediately explained that they were on impulse because of maintenance.
Yeah, and I hope they reconsidered doing that kind of activity. Like, I feel like you should never have all your dilithium crystals offline, right?
I mean, you gotta do maintenance at some point.
Right, but can't you have, like, 2 of them online and 4 of them offline?
I think they shut down the whole warp core when they were taking them out.
I think it's a bad idea. I advise
I feel like
against...
you gotta turn it off at some point.
Well, I guess you can turn it off, but I feel like it should be ready to go in case of an emergency. Yeah.
I mean, you got it back in just a couple minutes, but we'll get to him.
It was, as I wrote, it was a lot of bad coincidences. Yeah. They're doing that with the... And although I do appreciate the little Scotty thing there where the guy was like, it's going to take me at least 20 minutes. Then 2 minutes later, he's like, 3 minutes, you'll have it. Well, but I know he did it, switched to doing it manually, but...
Well, yeah, I think that was the issue, is he's changed tactics. Yeah. This was our 4th and final chief engineer of the season. Walker Boone played Leland T. Lynch. Walker Boone, who has no picture in IMDb, and only has... Well, he has 51 credits.
Is this what he's best known for?
No, it's not even in his top 4.
Wow.
He's best known for Warehouse 13, just 1 episode.
Okay.
Counter-Strike, which was a 90s series.
Okay.
Youngblood, The Last Chance. Haven't heard of any of these things.
Was Youngblood the hockey movie with Rob Lowe?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, he was the assistant coach in that.
I actually liked him.
I hated him. I know, we're just totally off.
Oh, yeah.
The last couple episodes, not just this one. I hated the way he first, like, Picard calls down the engineer and goes, Lieutenant Commander Leland T. Lynch here, sir. And I'm like, okay, you don't need to give your whole name and rank. And then the second time they call down, he's like, Leland T. Lynch here, sir. And he dropped the rank, but he still said his full name. And I was like... Does he that actor really want you to get to know him because he's hoping to be the chief engineer?
It's one of apparently it's one of those names where you have to say the full name. You can't.
It's stupid. Yeah. It's stupid is what it is.
I cannot disagree with you on
that. We said we were going to rank our 4 chief engineers when we got to the end.
Yeah.
I rank him last.
I presume. So we had him.
We had Argyle, who we liked a lot.
Okay.
We had what was her name? Mick something.
Yeah.
I liked her a lot too. Let me see. I've got her. Let me look at my rankings for Star Trek crushes because I know McDougal. I remember before I saw her name. We had McDougal, we had Argyle, we had Leland, T. Lynch, and then Logan.
Oh, okay.
I'm torn between Argyle and McDougal. I liked them both a lot. I'm going to give McDougal the edge just because I feel like Argyle is kind of a Scotty copy.
I agree.
And then I'm going to give... Oh, man, I can't decide. They're both so awful. I'm going to say Logan was worse. Because because he yelled at Geordi for not separating or for not rescuing them, and then yelled at them for rescuing them.
Oh, yeah, now I really remember. Yeah, Logan's fourth.
Logan's the worst.
Logan's fourth.
Yeah. But I would say Leland T. Lynch is third for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. We liked Argyle.
I liked it. If Argyle or McDougal was the permanent, I'd be happy.
Sure.
Lynch or Logan, no way. There was a big chasm between the top two and the bottom two.
That said, I would love to know more about Leland T. Lynch. Maybe that should have been my alternate episode.
Then, if you like engineers who aren't perfect and aren't great heroes, I think you're really going to love Reginald Barclay, who is one of Geordi's assistants that we see in quite a few episodes.
All right.
And films, and episodes of Voyager. He's around a lot.
Looking forward to it.
And of course, our transport chief, Miles O'Brien. I felt like in the first 10 minutes, they really tried to give Yar some character development.
Yeah.
The whole martial arts thing.
The kickboxing talk was weird.
Where Worf's helping her prepare, and all of a sudden there was a bond between them I don't think we'd seen.
That's what, I didn't know I wrote, and it was very 80s music, and I couldn't tell if it was like, we're best friends now, or we're falling in love now. I was like, I don't know what's going on here.
I think it was just friends. I think they bonded over their similar childhoods. Okay. They both had bad childhoods.
Because that is right. It was part John Hughes 80s kind of music movie, and it was also part 80s Skinamax movie music.
I've got other music notes coming up, but the music in this episode was particularly bad in my opinion.
It really was. There was one piece I liked, but that piece was not good.
No. I did think it was kind of fun that Yar was favored in the ship's pool and Worf.
I thought that was interesting too.
But I mean, of course, she's favored in the ship's pool. She's security chief, right?
And it was just on the ship.
Yes.
Okay, it was just a ship-wide competition.
There's 1,000 people on the ship. You got to do something to keep them involved.
That makes sense. Do you think the civilians were allowed to be in it?
Yeah, I would assume so.
All right.
But I want to see the civilian that kicks the security chief's butt.
That's fair.
I mean, I kind of feel like whoever wins the martial arts tournament should be the security chief. Not really, but
right. Well, it just might be somebody who's really into kickboxing.
Right. I mean, yeah, it takes a lot more skill than just hand-to-hand combat to be security chief. Then Picard says, "It'll be good to have Counselor Troy back," and Riker's like, "Yeah, well," and I'm like, "Oh God, what's going on there?" The subtext of that was just
it was weird. And then Riker gets that weird look on his face. It sure will be. It's like, okay, all right. It's a weird kind of like, we just heard she's coming back.
I mean, they never confirm it, but I think Riker and Troy were hooking up occasionally in these days. Friends with benefits type situation.
Of course.
Obviously, we'll deal with their relationship again, but I did appreciate, as the shuttle was crashing, to find out that Troy didn't drive the shuttle herself. Because we know whenever Troy drives, it crashes. But since the shuttle crashed, maybe she should have been the one driving.
I guess they weren't close enough, because at first I was like, tractor being man? But they obviously weren't close enough. They needed warp drive to get there.
Warp 8. It only took them like a minute at warp 8, but before that, it was... I don't know who the driver of the shuttle was.
What they call him? Petro?
Oh, Ben Preto?
Preto, yeah.
He was played by Raymond Forcione.
Okay.
Didn't have any lines, never looked up.
Nope.
But he's best known for the television show SWAT on CBS, which is recently. He was in one episode this past year, 2019. He was in an episode of Grey's Anatomy, an episode of Goliath. So a lot of guest spots. And then he was the neighbor in the movie Point Blank.
I thought it was weird that when Picard gets into the shuttle and he checks his pulse, he's like, he's still alive. And I'm like, Troy has to know that he's still alive already, right?
Yeah, Troy felt Yar's
He's not telling him anything he doesn't already know.
See, I have a problem when McCoy or Crusher from across the room says, "Oh, he's just dead." But if Troy says it from across the room, she knows what she's talking about.
Right, exactly.
I did like the visual setting of the shuttle that had crashed. If you notice, the nacelles were ripped off.
Yeah.
Really beat up.
Yeah, I did like that.
But then on the other hand, Troy, other than a brief mark on her face and her hair being a little messy, she looked completely fine. It did look like maybe she had a broken leg and couldn't stand up.
It was weird that
She
she
looked pretty
just
good.
wouldn't move.
Yeah, I think she had something
I guess she
broke.
could be in pain. Well, so she had the little mark on her face, and then was the mark on Yar's face? Did she get shot in the face?
No, she got thrown. I think
And
that's
so
where
that's
it
when
hit
she
her.
landed?
I think that's where.
Okay.
I don't know. That wasn't
It
clear.
was a weird...
First of all, it was dried blood, which it shouldn't have been.
It was not great.
With no wound.
It was a weird... It looked like something just put on top.
I think in the 80s, for a television show like this that was getting the broadcast networks, they couldn't get into any gore at all. They had to be very
That's fair.
careful.
That's
and
fair.
so they did very tame injuries.
Yeah,
Visually.
that's...
So Dr. Crusher, when she's asked to beam down, Picard's like, Dr. Crusher, you been listening in?
Right.
She's like, yeah. And I'm like, so she just sits in sick bay and listens to what's going on the bridge?
It's like the futuristic Bearcat scanner. She just listens in to what's going on out there.
She just loves hearing Picard's voice.
Yeah.
Then they get down there, and Riker says to the Picard, there's a slick blocking our path. But at that point, they already knew the slick was moving,
Right.
and he doesn't tell Picard that.
I know. That made zero sense
Picard,
to me.
I wanted Picard to say that, just step over it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. This is weird that you're telling me this. Yeah, I did not understand that either. Like, unless I was like, is slick a term for something different
Oil slick?
than now? Yeah,
Yeah.
that I know. But like in the future, is because otherwise he's not telling him anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, well, go. Let me know when you get to the shuttle. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then he you want me to leave the channel open? Yes. Picard's very interested in oil slicks. Describe it to me as you walk around it.
Now you have me. Yes. Now I'm in.
Armis and Data had some interesting banter, I thought, too, because there was very much a discussion of, is Armis life at first, until he spoke and made himself known. But
Yeah, he got real
was
touchy
very
about that.
judgmental to Data, like, oh,
Right.
you're a Tin Man, you're a robot.
Yeah.
It was almost like, how dare you call him life, and you're not thinking of me as life at first?
Yeah, I didn't understand. And it gets into that conversation we have all the time where it's like, oh, there's no life forms. And, unless it's carbon-based,
Right.
But even then...
And this clearly wasn't carbon-based.
Porta or whatever, yeah.
I mean, oil is just carbon.
I mean,
right?
we're not that far from the episode where they found the light beings, right? So,
Right.
Although this time they didn't react like, oh my god, this couldn't be possible. They were just like, okay, this is another life form.
Yeah.
Was Tin Man a reference to Wizard of Oz, which I think would give some more interesting depth to... What's his name? Martis? What do we call him?
Armis?
Armis.
Well, yeah, because he's accusing Data of not having a heart when he's the one without a heart.
Ah, that's very good. Yeah, because at first I'm like, that's a Wizard of Oz reference. And I'm like, no, it isn't. And I'm like, no, it has to be.
I think it is, and it's also a reference he's made out of metal. Obviously not tin.
Right.
But he calls him Tin Man multiple times, not just once. He calls him other things too, but he calls him Tin Man multiple times. And it's funny because there is a Next Generation episode called Tin Man that we haven't gotten to yet. So I think sometimes the writers need to watch each other and make sure you're not just reusing the same concepts. But anyway.
Also a great song by America.
Sure.
Tin Man.
Also a great miniseries from the Sci-Fi Channel starring Zooey Deschanel as Dorothy. It was a Wizard of Oz type.
Oh, okay.
It was kind of like a cyberpunk type Wizard of Oz. Anyway.
But yeah, I guess Tin Man was an insult to an extent.
Yeah, yes.
Like I said, it wasn't great.
No, it wasn't. Picard asked Riker as they're looking around, what are you seeing? And Riker's response was, trouble. I liked that, actually.
Yeah, I did too. I was okay with that. Because I feel like they went right to commercial then.
I think so.
Yeah.
But what a commercial line. So then we're 12 minutes into the episode, and Yar dies because Armis threw her and apparently sucked her life force as he threw her.
Yeah.
It felt really early.
It did.
It almost felt like when you kill a red shirt in an original series episode to make you think the main crew are in danger, it felt like you killed Yar just to make us think Troy was in danger.
Yeah, and I thought that, and by the end, well, we got into that. I thought it was like very, because when they beam her up, even when Crusher says she's dead on the planet or whatever, you don't feel that she's dead, Jim. McCoy, not just because DeForest Kelly's around. It was like, okay. So even watching it, knowing she was gonna die, I was still watching like it still felt like, oh, they're gonna save her. And then even on the ship, and maybe that was the idea. It was like we're gonna kind of do it the other way, which is fine. But it still felt like, oh no, she's gonna live.
Yeah, for some reason, as I was trying to remember this, I'm like, surely she pulls through this and then gets hit again. Or
right.
Something. Yeah.
Right. And I'm not sure how I feel about it overall. Do I feel like, because I think it might have been on this podcast, and I think it is where we've talked about like oh, I hate when movies, when they like just start killing off characters, you like, and somebody, it might have even been Colleen or Keith, one of those two, made the point that, well, you're watching movies where people are doing dangerous things. It makes sense that over time,
sure,
everyone's not going to make it.
That's why you have red shirts.
And so to that point, right, yes. And to that point, I'm like, okay, that makes sense that this would happen. But obviously by the end of the episode, it's like, no, this is a big deal.
Because she's a senior officer. She's not a red shirt.
Right. And it wasn't glorious, but it makes sense in the moment that she's a security chief. She's going to be in dangerous stuff. Like you said, it should still be red shirts down there.
But Next Gen seems to be hesitant to send extras. So it's their.
Do you think that's because it was already cliche by then to be a red shirt?
I thought it was just budgetary.
That's very possible.
They want to spend their money elsewhere. And I've got some other comments on budget for this episode. We'll get to that in a minute. Had they just she's dead and moved on, I think that would have been very anticlimactic for fans of Yar.
Yes.
I assume there are some. I'm certainly not one of them.
Right.
But they then went into basically a 3-minute medical drama with really bad music. But that made it a little more tense and a little more meaningful. And by the time, and all the head shocks instead of heart shocks, which I thought was interesting.
Right.
Shock the brain, not the heart. So by the time she actually did die, it did actually feel like something because they made such a big deal of it. And
I can't remember back then. In my brain, I feel like we all knew she was going to die in the episode, but I think I'm looking back even from a 1989, 1990 perspective. But I thought that Picard's reaction as soon as Crusher announces it in sickbay was like, I feel like that's the way the fans would have reacted, because he's just like, wait a minute, say that again?
Right.
But I felt like the emotion was there. I thought he did a really good job. And I thought Troy later in the episode, I've realized, and it didn't take long, I think Marina Sirtis is one of those actresses who can be like, hey, can you cry? And 2 seconds later, she's bawling her eyes out. It's still effective because she's got those big eyes and everything. She's great at it. But I thought, and I think that goes for the whole episode, and we'll get into the funerals later. But I think that those reactions by some of those around her affected me much more than thinking about Yar being dead. It was just their reaction. And actually, I'll save my other comment on that until we get to the funeral part.
I've got comments along the same lines.
I'm obviously going to go back to TOS, to my favorite funeral.
Sure.
I need to come up with a different term than favorite.
Your favorite funeral.
Most affecting funeral in Star Trek so far.
Well, and they could have been...
well, I guess I have 2 to go back to.
Sure.
Anyway.
They could have been playing with, in Wrath of Khan, where they all knew Spock was going to die, so they opened with him dying.
Right.
But then he wasn't really dead.
Right.
There could have very well been fans who thought, fake out.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it may be coming. But,
exactly.
Or maybe you just said she was going to die.
Yeah, and like I said, I felt like, she's going to live. She's going to live through this. So, I thought Picard's reaction was probably everyone watching wasn't aware of it. Just like, wait, what? No, that's not the way this works.
And I did like the nice detail where the higher the shock went, the less her head moved.
Yeah, and it was good to see other people in sickbay helping. I know we've seen him before, but I felt like that guy was more...
Yeah, I think it was
a serious thing.
This kind of process probably happens quite a bit, and we don't usually get to see it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was kind of nice to get that peek.
I like knowing other people are helping crush her, and she's not just,
Oh, no.
To use a 70s
we
reference,
haven't even
Quincy.
Seen Nurse Agawa and others.
Exactly.
But at this point, going back to the surface, because now we finally see Troy, who hasn't been in this episode other than her voice.
Yeah.
She must be truly terrified at this point.
Yeah.
Because she felt Yar die, felt her friends beam away from her, and she can't move. Her other companion, the shuttle's not moving.
I thought
it might have
been the first or the second time the Armis engulfed the shuttle that I thought Marina Sirtis really conveyed, this is it. And I felt like a lot of this episode was very, maybe not quite torture porn, but it was definitely very, and not quite snuff film, but what I think of a lot of horror films these days that I don't like, are just very all right, he's got all the control, you're in peril, he's going to torture you. And somebody even says, you're sadistic and whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, not interested, I'm out. But I've already hit that.
Star Trek doesn't do that. Maybe that's why I was interested. I don't watch those horror movies.
Yeah.
So it's novel for me.
I don't either. Well, I've seen it enough that I never want to see him again, but yeah.
Besides Troy being terrified, though, and you're right, you could tell she was terrified.
Yeah, I thought,
She also kept it together really well.
Yeah.
Which proved that, because sometimes... I think especially in the early season, she gets dismissed as like, she's a counselor. She's not the same metal that the other Starfleet officers are. Unlike Crusher, who shows constantly she's the same metal.
Yeah.
I think this was really nice to get to see Troy in this different situation.
And
she proved she's worthy of
and I thought there were parts of that talk that were very, psychobabble's not the right word, but just very like, oh, I know you're...
It's psychobabble. Yeah. That's fair.
Okay, yeah. But then I thought, as it went on, not that I wanted more, but I thought, as you were just saying, I thought it felt like she was... there was a method to her madness.
Yeah.
Because at first, just like, you're just babbling. And then it was like, oh, I see where you're going. And it worked. And it opened the door for Picard to do it at the end, and they got away and everything.
And I think we say psychobabble not as an insult to anybody in the mental health industry.
Oh, absolutely not.
The same way you use technobabble to describe the engineering stuff.
Yeah.
It's that, I mean, that's why a lot of people talk about Troy's language as psychobabble.
Right.
It's that same thing. We don't understand it. It's more advanced than what we know.
But here it worked. And I will say I did like, while we're on creepy, scary stuff, when Riker goes in and his face... coming back out of it.
That was a great effect.
And I didn't expect him to come back out fully covered in muck. I thought that was kind of cool too. I think
in the original series they wouldn't have the budget to actually come that way.
No.
So right after Yar dies and we see Troy being scared, we go to the ready room, the briefing room, where the senior staff is gathered. And Picard, I mean, they're all upset. Picard just tap on the table.
Yeah, I thought that was
very
cool.
interesting and effective.
Yeah.
I really liked getting to see all their reactions in that scene. We saw Picard made Worf acting chief of security. I'm a little confused on that because, yes, he's on command training, so he's got the stuff to be like a head of a department, but she's got to have a whole security department that we haven't seen.
Right.
And shouldn't there be a second in command?
There's somebody who's not happy about this.
Right. Like Lieutenant whatever.
Not only were they not promoted, they weren't at they were on the A team for the A funeral.
We'll talk about the funeral attendance too.
Yes.
That's part of my notes. I thought Worf... This whole episode was very lead actor centric.
Yes.
Ignoring other crewmen. And I thought Worf being made acting security chief was kind of odd. The way it happened. I feel like we should have seen a deputy at some point.
I agree.
Or at least established, because it kind of has felt like lately that Worf has moved fully into the security department. So establish that he's her deputy.
Right.
That would have been nice. But
I agree.
Then they get up to go back, and Riker looks at Worf, and he's just like, Worf? Worf should have immediately stood.
Right.
And I don't know that was necessarily clear, because yes, Yar's usually a part of the away team, but not always. And I don't know, I mean, I also thought it was strange that Worf stayed behind, even though I get it, but that Riker's reaction to, like, Worf, why aren't you coming, was weird to me.
I thought so too.
And a little unfair to Worf.
Yeah. Was that just supposed to show that Worf was still his own man, or just is like, well, I'm security chief now and I have to make this decision?
I think, I mean, the way I took the scene, and what he did after that, of where he chose not to go and said, I need to stay on board, to me, that didn't seem tactical.
Right.
That seemed like he was really grieving and just couldn't handle it
Yeah.
now. And I think Riker and Picard were both willing to give him the space, because he was still going to stay on the job and do his best. But I do think it wasn't just him putting duty first. I think it was he could not go down and face that at the moment.
Yeah.
Which, again, is a great character moment for Worf.
Yeah, and again, I think that's another one of those that I wasn't upset about Yar dying as much as the reactions to the other characters made me upset.
Totally.
And that's what...
I did think it was I have very few complaints about Armis, but the next scene is one of them, where Armis is talking to Troy, and she's like, will you tell him I'm alive or whatever? And he's like, no, I don't want to tell him. And then he goes out to talk to the team, and the first thing he says is, she's alive. I was just like, what?
For me, he was all over the place.
The toy with Geordi's visor was just an awful scene to me.
Yeah, I as somebody who can't see generally, I did not care for that.
I mean, you have to at least be grateful that any blind fans don't actually have to watch it happen to Geordi. I mean, that wasn't meant to be funny, but like, that's just torture.
Oh, it's just terrible. I thought that was crueler than killing Yar.
I don't know about crueler, but it was pretty bad.
I have my own bias on that,
and then Riker gets pulled in again. We talked about the Mary Poppins bag and the face shot, but then we got to Troy and her Imzadi, which reminded us of that.
I did hear,
and that was very moving.
Yeah, and that was just kind of, it wasn't made a big deal of. I thought it was just kind of dropped in there.
Did you, at any point, I mean, I know that Riker continues past this.
Right.
But at any point, do you think this episode did an effective job of making us think maybe he wouldn't come out of it too? It's really hard to separate.
Yeah, it is. I thought more it was going to, and again, this is not separating. I just thought it was going to go a direction of, because they talked about him kind of absorbing him or whatever, and I thought maybe it was going to be one of those where he was stuck in there kind of a thing. But we didn't get that. He just kind of spit him out. I was like, well, get out of here.
Whenever he got tired of it.
Yeah.
Because they, whatever. He just wanted to do whatever he could to play with them.
He wanted to be entertained.
Well,
which we've had in TOS episodes.
He said entertained, and I think that was part of it. Again, the Tree Lane.
Yeah, that was Tree Lane.
I think he was using entertainment as an excuse. I do think he was lonely, and I think he felt more than he wanted to say he felt. I think there was a lot of subtext to Armis, and his reactions, while not logical, made sense if you look at it from an emotional framework. I don't know. I really dug the character overall. Then Picard beams down, which bothered me a lot.
It did me too.
Because his first officer's in the muck.
Right.
Troy is trapped.
I'm
Yar
going
is
down
dead.
there.
And the captain's like, let me put myself at the mercy of this creature. That's just so stupid.
I mean, it's a Kirk move. And
it is.
It played out like a Kirk move. Like you said,
it did, because
the ending is a very Kirk thing he did.
Well, he set the tone of, okay, now we're not going to play with him. And moved the plot forward. And I like that it was Picard that did that, because it does take someone with a lot of wisdom and maturity to pull that off. Unless you're just super impulsive like Kirk. But for Picard, you can see why he'd do that when his other officers hadn't thought of it. But I also liked how quickly they all fell right in line of Crusher being like, yeah, go ahead, kill me. Data saying, I'm not going to blame myself.
I'm not going to feel bad,
Which, I believe him, and I wish we were all that. Able to be that logical.
Was part of the motivation of Picard going down that, I lost a crew member? Because that would have been Kirk's. Kirk would have gone down there and been like, I've already lost a crew member. He'd have had a speech up there. I've lost a crew member. I've lost a key crew member.
I think...
I'm going down there.
I think at this point the situation was so important it required the captain's personal attention. He could no longer delegate, which I get.
Yeah.
But again, your first officer's buried. Your second officer's down there at its mercy. Your third officer's strapped to the shuttle. Stay on the bridge.
Yeah. Again, I enjoyed what he did there, but
I feel like he could have negotiated with Armis from space without beaming down.
Because all they had to do is keep the channels
He
open.
just wanted a personal look at it, and I get that.
Yeah.
And if Riker wasn't in the pit of oil, he would have stopped him from beaming down.
Yeah. And I guess this is something we talked about before, but wouldn't it make sense for them to be able to have little cameras in their insignias as well?
Yes.
Like, here's what we're seeing.
They didn't have any concept of body cams at that point.
I guess not.
I mean, they didn't even tap into Geordi's visor this time.
No, that's right. Wow, this was amazing. Yeah, which is okay. I thought it was a very TOS soundstage set, and for whatever reason...
It was.
I'm still liking that at this point.
Really?
I don't like the set. I think it just gives me a warm, nostalgic feeling. It's not a good set.
No.
It just gives me okay, we're still in that same universe, but I still didn't like the set at all.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that goes away with TNG.
All right.
I'm pretty sure that doesn't continue to the other spinoffs.
Good.
Except Discovery, they're always going to sets like that now.
I guess we did have a couple outside ones, like Justice was an outdoor one.
Well, yeah, they always go to the rocks.
Yeah.
What are they called?
We just talked about
we did just talk about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's their outdoor set, but it cost a lot more money to go there than to build the planet and soundstage.
I almost think that's where the Orville went when they in one of those
I'm sure
episodes.
it was.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was.
A
lot of shows and movies have filmed there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Then we get the whole speech from Armis where he says he's the skin of evil.
Sorry you couldn't be here for that, Keith.
Which, that was... It could have been cartoonish, but again, I think he was trying to be intimidating, and I appreciated the posturing. But then we got the whole speech, I think it was Picard, that true evil will be surrendering and giving in to you. And that's almost like speaking to all the people that are being downtrodden and repressed under the Trump presidency. To be like, true evil would be not showing up to vote in November.
Yeah.
Get out there and
that's a good take. That take I like. I like that take.
Because by now he's been impeached.
He has been. He has been.
Then they destroyed the shuttle and they did the menagerie rule, or the cage rule, of nobody go to this planet.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
I mean, they didn't say death penalty, but...
Right.
Yeah. I guess that's the Starfleet thing. Like, don't kill a life form no matter how evil it is.
Just let it. Well, and they did talk about how. I thought they talked about how the worst thing possible for him. You're calling me an it?
It wasn't it.
Yeah. I think calling something it doesn't mean you're not saying it's a life form.
Right.
You're just saying it's not binary, or it's not a he or a she.
But gender is binary.
Exactly. Although calling something an it because you don't think it's a he or she is not necessarily cool. Right. If it's a pool on another planet, yes.
This episode was directed by Joseph Scanlon. He directed 4 episodes of Star Trek. This was his second. He also directed The Big Goodbye.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll have 2 more next season, Contagion and Times Square, that he'll direct. It was written, the story was by, and he also co-wrote, by Joseph Stefano, who is credited as the writer of the movie Psycho.
Oh, wow.
As well as he was a writer for The Outer Limits.
Okay.
So I think, and obviously the 1998 version of Psycho as well, because it was the same script.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I love Psycho, and I can see a little bit of the common threads.
Sure.
I mean, not completely, but this, I mean, that is...
A blonde woman gets killed early on.
That is such a strong movie. I don't want to compare it too closely. It was also co-written by Hannah Louise Scher, who has 11... well, she was executive story editor, so not all of these 11 credits are written by, but this is actually... She has a written by credit for When the Bow Breaks. You remember that episode?
Oh, yeah. The kids.
She has teleplay by for this one.
Okay.
And then next episode is We'll Always Have Paris. She wrote that episode.
Oh, okay.
So we've got some of her coming up. Also, let's do fashion.
Fashion.
Artemis. Or Armis. I don't know why in my head I keep calling him Artemis.
It's been a struggle to say Artemis. I keep wanting to put a T in there too for some reason. I don't know why that is.
Because he's tar?
Maybe that's it.
I don't know.
Maybe that's...
Fashion? What do you think of his look?
Like I said, I liked it when he came up, when he formed into whatever that gobbledygook was. I thought it was cool. Especially the first couple times. It was like, all right, this is kind of cool. And I thought it was almost going to look like the creature from the Black Lagoon. But it was just, like you said, it maybe it was better. It was more amorphous and didn't have a face or anything. And I thought that looked cool. Like I said, I laughed as the episode went on each time he slowly rose up.
I think it looked better than anything the original series would have done.
Yeah, probably. Other than,
theirs would have been more rags. It wouldn't have the liquidy.
It would have had Janice Prochaska under there as the Horta. I'm partial to the Horta. Obviously, we know my TOS things. Yeah,
the Horta's great. Yeah. I'm just saying, I don't think they could have pulled off this oily look.
That effect I thought was pretty cool.
They'll get even. It did remind me a little bit, and we'll get into this way more. In Deep Space Nine, there's a main character who's a shapeshifter named Odo.
Okay.
And he reverts to liquid at night and sleeps in a bucket.
All right.
And I think that is like the next natural evolution of this effect, that we'll see him melt. Yeah. And we'll see him... He doesn't change into other shapes as much.
And I thought the whole pool was going to form into it, but I thought it was just as cool that it didn't.
I like that.
TOS... I guess the one that's popping in my head is... the Lee Merriweather one, where she would just go into a line and then into a dot and disappear. But, God, I can't think of the title of that one. The something...
I can't remember.
It's not the thing within, that's the enemy within.
No, I know what you're talking about, of course, but yeah. Cat's Paw? No, it wasn't Cat's Paw.
No.
Shoot.
She's the protector...
Yeah, I don't remember.
I'll look it up while I continue.
The other fashion note I had was we get to see Crusher in both uniforms this time. We saw her in the great blue lab coat.
Yeah.
And this may have been color correction issues because it changed in this. And not to get to the funeral scene, but this part was in the funeral. She was in like a dark green uniform and then switched to blue. And then switched back to dark green, and then switched back to blue. And I think they just I guess in the original series, the command uniforms were actually green, not yellow. They just looked yellow because of bad lighting effect. And I feel like I have an action figure of her in the green uniform, and I also have the action figure in the blue lab coat.
Oh,
and
wow.
To me, I'm like, those are separate things.
Right.
Whereas I think it was just her blue uniform with bad color correction that made it look green.
Interesting.
Which is a shame, because I like the green look.
Yeah.
I like the different.
That which survives was the
Oh,
so
yes.
remarry with her.
Thank you. So, I did want to know why the funeral was just the lead characters instead of her security team.
I hit on that immediately.
I mean, I guess we have seen her bond with Wesley a little bit, so I guess it makes sense they'd include him.
Yeah, so one of my things was, and this actually ties into the 6 Feet Under. My origin episode was the Enterprise is 6 Feet Under. There's a morgue or whatever on the Enterprise.
We see everybody die.
And so my thought was, she must have had pre-needs. Yeah, you're right. Last episode, that's how else.
You were talking about the series finale.
My alternate episode is just those guys dealing with the Yar dead. But in my mind, based on the attendance at her funeral, she had a pre-needs thing, and she was like, I want these people here, and I want this message read.
Sure.
So these people all have to be there, because that's who I'm reading the message to. And
Lieutenant Michael C. Hall was down in the...
Yeah, and then somebody else...
Peter Krause.
Somebody else dies just of natural causes or whatever, or they drink too much or whatever. I don't know. Whatever. It's just some other 6 feet under. There'd have to be a weird death. Not a weird death. Just a death. Actually, the death at the beginning would just be Yar. Them hearing about Yar dying. So
my alternate episode is we need the Grey's Anatomy-esque spinoff that only takes place in the sick bay.
See? All right, so we're on the same track here.
I feel like... So, with... this Star Trek Lower Decks animated series that's in development, where we're going to see a different part of the ship. I definitely feel like we could have a medical drama on a starship.
Absolutely.
Same thing, we could have a crime drama on a starship, and just the captain doesn't play into it that much, and you get the medical staff or the security staff.
Like I said, me and my brother and sister, we love Dr. Mabenga. We thought he was the best.
The one episode he was in.
We wanted more Mabenga.
Yeah, I don't think Star Trek will ever just do a procedural that's medical or security. And I don't think they should. But I would be interested in a show that was focused on another part of the ship.
Yeah.
Or another part of the universe.
Yeah.
Okay, so a funeral just for the lead character, which is ridiculous because she's got a whole department.
Right, and that was my thought too.
They have a separate funeral for them?
That was, Are there several? Because it's like... Did she record different things at different times?
So we've definitely seen characters... I don't know if we've seen it yet, but we'll see it after this. We've definitely seen characters in Star Trek record those types of notes.
Right.
Because you don't know. You're in a dangerous job.
Right, and she says that, which I appreciate. Right. I thought that was a good aspect of it.
It was a little too complete.
It was.
Where she talked to everybody.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm like, okay, she's not spending this much time updating this every few months or a year.
Right, well...
But... I do think she would have left some type of note. I do wonder why she was translucent. Why not just let her be solid?
Right, or why wouldn't it just be like her head laying on a screen?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that was for effect. Maybe that was her decision to have it on the hill with the clouds and the translucent.
Right.
Like, I would assume she'd get to pick that.
It looked very...
But to me...
That looked very cheesy.
To me, that didn't feel like what Yar would have chosen.
No, I agree. I totally agree. And I just thought... Yeah, like, is that just like... All right, is it just like we have this image of Yar, we took a picture of her, and we're able to program it so her mouth moves with the word she and her voice? I mean, I don't...
You noticed
she didn't record the whole thing, did she?
I assume so.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
No, I assume she recorded the whole thing. But I think, didn't her head turn to meet the eyes of the people she was talking about?
Yes, and that was a problem,
too. That was a problem. That could have been a holodeck technology.
That's where I get into what was the other stuff involved. Because otherwise, it's like, man, she went through that thing without even hesitating. She had her lines down. She didn't even have to think.
I did not actually personally like this bit, but I get why a lot of people would, was when she talked to Deanna and about how Deanna helped her to be feminine.
Yeah, I didn't...
Because she came from a very rough upbringing.
Right.
And so I feel like I could understand the point of what she was saying.
Yeah.
But to me, I guess didn't connect with it.
I didn't either.
Whereas the Picard thing, where she said, I never had a father.
Right.
But you...
I'm with you.
I love that she ended with Picard.
Yeah.
Because I was like, why didn't she end with Worf? But honestly, Picard pulled her out of where she was. Picard gave her the position, and that was so meaningful. But my favorite part of the whole funeral was after the funeral was over, and Picard and Data.
What's the first... Yeah, actually, that part was great. I thought that was awesome.
It was a preview of what we'll get in the movies that are basically just starring Picard and Data with everybody else as supporting characters.
But I thought that was one of the more effective parts. And Data's... I know some people didn't love him at first, but I think I like him. Love Spock kind of a thing, but I think his growth arc is the most interesting so far.
Oh, it continues to be, and that's why he takes such a front seat in the movies. After the first movie, it's really Picard and Data.
And
guest starring everybody else.
Yeah, and the shot of him staying behind, even on that cheesy set, it was just very effective. What does Picard say? I thought he said one word, and then he starts talking to... I don't know if it's... Because the last shot was Data, right? Wasn't that the end of the episode?
Yeah, so Picard basically... Or Data said something about... I don't think I understood this because I'm thinking about myself.
Right,
instead of her. I'm thinking about the empty hole she's left in me.
Yeah.
And Picard's like, you got the point perfectly.
Yeah, and I thought that was great.
That was
awesome.
That was the only time of the episode I shed a tear.
Yeah, I was feeling it a little bit before that because when Deanna Troi cries, I cry. Except maybe not on the planet. But during that, and again, I felt like her goodbye added to some characters and just kind of reiterated what we already knew. In some ways, it was like, hey, I'm telling you what everyone already knows. In others, I thought it was like adding a little bit to them.
It was extraneous, but
it was.
You also want to serve the actress and send her off nicely.
That too.
I do think probably the first time I watched this, I really think I might have been scared for Deanna. And if I was watching this first run, I think I would have, especially with the rumors that she thought she was going to be fired from the show.
Oh, that's true too.
I would really be scared for Deanna in this.
I also cried when Halston Sage left the Orville.
Well,
they gave her a big goodbye too, and that was
that was a great episode.
That was really good.
We'll talk about that in about 10 years.
Yeah, I did not. That was one I did not see coming, and that
was a horror episode as well.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that one. That was a gut punch. Yeah, it was
true horror.
Yeah.
It disturbed me very deeply. We gotta get to our ranking. Annoyance scale for Wesley.
I give him a 1. That's the lowest, right?
Yeah.
A 1. Yeah, he was fine.
Yep. I'm gonna stick with you on the 1.
Yeah.
He just had a couple lines. They weren't anything.
He
was very forgettable.
He said the one line, and I thought he was gonna say something else. I'm like, am I up in this? Nope, they didn't. They didn't have him talk again. He's good.
Yeah,
we're good.
Even in the holodeck, it was very
low-key. That was maybe that was also the spot where I'm like, I thought, are they gonna have him talk? Okay, good.
No, he did still talk.
No, it was good.
Who was your annoyance?
So probably the opposite of you. Armis was my most annoying.
I'd already typed it before you said it. Yeah, I definitely don't think Armis.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Leland T. Lynch, who I hate. I will not go with Yar, even though I've chosen her multiple times this season.
Yeah.
Who's your crush of Star Trek? Are you going to stick with Langor, or are you going to switch to Armis?
Who was... Langor was the blonde. Yeah, I'm sticking with her. Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Oleana. Yeah. She's stuck for so long. There just haven't been good choices in my opinion. Ranking the episode, I know I want to go towards the top, you want to go towards the bottom.
I'm probably,
Start in the middle-ish?
Start in the middle, yeah.
Okay, Justice? Do you remember Justice?
Yeah, I remember Justice well. I know I would rank it below it, but... I think we'll have to reach a compromise.
I think we will, because I would definitely go above.
Yeah.
Let's look at what's around that to see if we're in the right area. Right below it is Coming of Age, which I really liked.
That was the test.
Or not necessarily really.
That was
I like
test
parts
one, right?
of it, yes. I like the Wesley parts, I like the other parts. Right above it's Too Short a Season.
Yeah.
With the aging makeup and everything.
Yeah. I mean, I'm willing to go home.
You're willing to go above that?
Yeah.
Angel 1.
All right. While I'm compromising, I'm willing to go above that.
You're willing to go above that? Okay.
Yeah.
Encounter Farpoint.
That's another one I didn't love either.
Me neither.
It's which god creature did I not like less?
But those are both very pivotal episodes of the series.
It's fair.
Symbiosis is above that.
That's the one we just
watched.
Did. Yeah. This is where I would stop.
Okay.
But, yeah. And we can have Keith weigh in.
Yeah, I think we should
kind of help us.
I think we should get some Keith
since we're so far apart.
Yeah, we are. Because the next one is the battle, which is the Ferengi brainwashing Picard. I'm going to make a note that Steven would put above this. Yeah. The next 2 are Ferengi episodes.
Yeah.
I honestly at this point, I would rank this 3rd for the season.
Wow.
Below Haven and Heart of Glory.
If we had just stopped at Justice, I would have ranked it below that.
Well,
maybe lower, but no, there are some good things.
What, though?
Yeah.
The Ferengi are big episodes. So, as a compromise, we can let Keith the Justice, but I'll put it above Symbiosis but below the battle.
Okay.
That's
fair.
where we were? Because you said above Symbiosis.
Well, I was going to say below Symbiosis.
Oh, you said below. Let's let Keith decide if he should go above or below Symbiosis.
Because, I mean, the meat of the episode I didn't like, but the great character moments in the ending were very effective. There were some very effective moments. So I think I'm kind of blind eyeing it there. So
this will be episode 6 or 7 in our rankings.
Okay, and I forgot to mention in the funeral section that my 2 most affecting funerals, not my favorite funerals, Wrath of Khan. Have to say that one.
Number one.
Number one. Number two, though, and this will not be a surprise, Balance of Terror. Has that great moment at the end, and you do see a lot of the crew, and they're there, and Kirk's with the widow, and then he has the moment after that where he's walking around, but he's still kind of letting what happened sink in and all that. And then it's all undone when she's 2 episodes later, the widow is putting the moves on somebody in shore leave.
I agree Wrath of Khan is the best funeral.
Yeah.
I think number 2, 3, 4 for me are all DS9 funerals. So
okay, we'll get to those, yeah.
We'll get to those. I put this as number 5.
Okay. But again, I thought it was an effective moment. Again, I thought...
Sure. If the whole episode is done on the quality of the funeral, I think we rank it up a couple notches.
I think so, too. Yeah, I think so, too.
And again, it was the effect it had on the other characters more than her death.
Yeah,
So I think we need to end this episode by talking about Tasha Yar as a character. I mentioned to you before we recorded, Denise Crosby will be in 6 more episodes of The Next Generation 2 as an alternate version of Tasha Yar, and 4 as a different character.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen the last of her, but basically her average is once per season after this.
Okay.
So she's
not a lot of
rare.
Yeah.
Do you think... I think we need to separate this out. First of all, do you think she was a good actress that fit in well on this show? I mean, good actress, I'd say yes.
Yeah.
Fit in well on this show, I'm not so sure.
I think she could have, but it almost, it's as much as we, the old, and we've kind of talked about this, I think, last week or maybe, but, the original series is like, oh, we just get these 3 guys, we want more of these other guys. I think she might have been the odd one out here because, we had a couple glimpses into her character and where she came from, but but obviously she wasn't happy. I
don't think they served her well. I don't think they ever really knew what to do with her.
It just never really developed it was just, so she was just the security person who happened to be a woman.
I kind of feel like they didn't know what to do with Troy either.
Yeah.
And I feel like they decided one of these has got to go.
Right. And
so we'll figure out the other one.
They knew Troy
too.
Was going to have some kind of Riker connection or whatever. But
I also think Denise Crosby, I want to say she asked to be let go.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So that probably forced the hand, but I think if she hadn't asked to be let go, it could have easily been Troy.
Yeah.
And this episode could have been the same one. I just think you can't have 2 leads you don't know what to do with.
Yeah.
I like the more diverse crew. Mm-hmm. I like that it's not just Uhura.
Right.
I like that we have Jordan Worf as an African-American, as a Klingon. We've got Data the android. But I think Crusher was their only effective female character in this first season.
Well, and I think they didn't know what to do with, and again, we've talked about how TV's different now than was then, but I'll bring back the Orville, Norm Macdonald's character. Yeah. He's a recurring character, but he's not in every episode.
Sure.
But we've learned enough about him, there's that guy. We know him, and then
we want to see him some more.
But we don't need him in every episode. But I think at this time, it was more of we got to find something for all these guys to do. We're trying to do that.
So you think Yar could have survived as a non-lead?
I think almost if she was you saw her every once in a while, but if that was a concept they wanted to use, because I don't think it was. I don't think it was. I think it was... I think
they also had
it just wasn't working.
A lot of characters.
Yeah, exactly.
And need to trim something.
Yeah.
I feel bad because, like I said, I love Crusher. I think she's a great character.
Yeah.
But I think most of the good, strong female Star Trek characters have yet to make an appearance on the franchise yet.
Yeah.
I mean, Uhura's got a special place.
She does.
But mostly because we love the actress, not because she got much to do.
Well, and that, and I was reminded just watching the first 5 minutes of Mantrap or whatever the other night, she makes her appearance and it's wow. Not just because she's stunningly beautiful, but she has a presence, and she was able to have some, a real personality and everything. And I mean, that was
if she'd been a lead on the show.
Nichelle Nichols was coming through, and it was great. And then it got shoved aside.
She could have handled being a lead.
She totally could have.
But when we think of the women of Star Trek, we think of Captain Janeway, we think of Seven of Nine, we think of Kira Nerys, we think of Jadzia Dax, and we are not, and now Michael Burnham, and we're not to those women yet. Next Gen, I love Crusher.
Sure.
But I told you, she won't be back for season 2.
Right.
So it's very much like a short-term... Yeah. I mean, Pulaski, her replacement, Dr. Pulaski, was never made a lead, but she's in, I think, every episode or almost every episode.
And I can't remember, Gates McFadden just decided she wanted to leave?
Yeah, she wanted to leave, but they got her back.
And then
Season 3 through 7.
And I know, we'll get into it when we get into those, but I don't think Diana Muldaur had a good time in her seasons either.
Yeah, I'm not sure she did. It was just one season.
Yeah.
And like I said, they never made her a lead, which I thought was odd.
That is odd.
Especially because she got as much story as any of the leads.
Right.
She wasn't just a Leland T. Lynch or whatever.
Yeah.
She was written like a lead, but was never added to the theme song as a lead.
Weird. And to me, she's a great Star Trek legacy. She was in one great episode to me.
I like Dr. Pulaski.
Is There in Truth No Beauty? One
Yeah.
terrible episode. Tomorrow Never Comes or whatever.
I prefer the Crusher-Picard relationship, but I think Pulaski and Riker have great dynamic. Not in a romantic way, but I love Pulaski and Riker's dynamic. So
we're gonna real soon. Real soon.
Next week, before that, because we've got 3 episodes left. Right. Next week, we'll always have Paris. Short version, a scientist experiment in time goes awry, reuniting Picard with an old flame, now married to the scientist. So it's like the original series where everybody knows everybody.
Now I get it's a Casablanca line, so it's a homage, reference, allusion.
Yes, I hope it will be.
Cool. Yeah, me too.
Well, next week we'll always have Paris. Hopefully, we'll always have Keith, and then we've got not the conspiracy. We've got Conspiracy and the Neutral Zone, and that'll be it for this season.
Oh wow! All right, we're that close.
Until then,
live long.
Unlike Tasha Yar.
R.I.P. But the rest of you, live long and prosper.
It's All Been Done presents
Who's Got the Time?